Hi, this is Brett Rummy Higgins, and I'm here with Joe, nondescript last name.
Hello.
And we're here to talk to you about the National League Central. This is our second edition of our special podcast.
Spring training just started. We're excited for that, right?
Very.
Harkens to warmer weather, funner days, beer in hand in a parking lot for me. And
I don't need the sun to hang out in the parking lot with some beer, but that's just me. Whatever.
But it's very exciting. Everybody's happy. It actually happened Valentine's Day, so Julie was a little mad about that because I was very excited for Valentine's Day, but it was baseball. And,
well, I'm not gonna lie. There was not much baseball on opening.
There wasn't a lot of baseball. It was just the news.
It was just, hey, guess what? Today's the day.
Guess what? Today's the day.
Yeah.
No more waiting.
I'd like to say before we start is that our last podcast, it went pretty good, and we got a little bit of feedback. We want a lot more, though. If you have something to say, even if it's negative, I want you to say it.
Yeah.
People out there listening.
It's a community.
Yeah.
I want to do that. The community.
You could definitely affect our next podcast with your influences.
And we want it to be good. We want it to be as best as it can. We want to be interesting. We want to contribute. We're going to start contributing today by talking about the news of the Cincinnati Reds' new beard policy. That's right. They have a facial hair policy.
Yeah, I just heard this from Joe. I have not even researched it whatsoever, so I'm going directly on what he's saying. And apparently, the policy is that you can't look like you're a member of Duck Dynasty.
That's what they said.
Which should be a policy that I believe in.
No Duck Dynasty stuff. I mean, I think that they can still have beards. Yeah. I don't think there was anybody on the team who was going that route. I mean, the Boston Red Sox, I think, brought it about a little bit. They had some pretty nasty looking beards last year, I gotta say.
I mean, between Corey Hart and the Boston Red Sox, that's about as many beards as I know of. I mean, of course, Brian Wilson had his crazy beard, but he's not a Red, so I mean, it doesn't really affect them directly too much that I know of, unless I'm wrong.
Now it goes back a little bit. I think it was like 1969 or something. I tried to look it up, but I forgot. And they had a facial hair policy before that, and they repealed it. So it's been, about 40-some years they had no facial hair policy. They're bringing it back, and that's something where I think this is something I thought we moved from in the 60s, man. Player rights. Why can't I grow whatever I want out of my face? I've had jobs where I can't have beards.
Yeah.
Not that I can grow much of one, but I've had those jobs, and you don't like it. I mean, I guess if you're gonna get paid $10 million to play the kids' game.
It's a kids' game. That's the entire reason for the policies is they're kids. Get into the game, they see these guys with beards. It might not be the most appealing thing to them. Also, these guys get paid a lot of money. And
it's professionalism. It's about putting the team, it's about presenting the team in a professional way. You don't want some scraggly looking guy representing your franchise, I guess. But
I'd like to point out that they have a new coach, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but let's just say he's bringing in a new era. He has that burden to deal with. I guess somebody might actually get mad at him about that.
For me, it seems a little backwards and unnecessary, but it's not enough to upset you. I guess at the end of the day, I don't care. It's not like it's going to affect Joey Votto or Brandon Phillips or anybody else on that team that I know of.
Yeah,
and It's interesting. It's kind of weird.
It's pretty weird that they would make it a public announcement. But do we really even need to know that? I mean, why do we even know that? That should be in the clubhouse. Well, anyways, moving on. We're going to talk about
top team
Pirates.
News,
right? Pirates first because they're the best.
Top team news, and the Pirates news is about their
payroll.
Their payroll and their free agent splash or lack of.
Yeah.
Now, the Pirates, they stayed pat. They got a lot of backlash. They got some from us on our last podcast, really. You think they got worse. They lost guys. They didn't go out and sign somebody to replace them or upgrade or anything like that, despite having the highest payroll they've had, which the Brewers are right there, too.
Okay, the Pirates GM apparently said their payroll does not equal playoffs. That was the quote that I heard just now. And that sounds weird because this is literally our highest payroll ever. So if anybody wants to say we're not spending money, you haven't seen our payroll compared to previous years, or even when we were really good back in the day, which is different money scales. But this is the highest it's ever been. It's going to get higher.
And I mean, you got to keep it in reason. They're not the biggest market team. They're one of the teams that relies on developing talent within.
I mean, where do you think this money would just come from? That's what
you got to buy more than a hot dog.
You know, like, we've been selling so little seats and merchandise for 10, 15, well, really 20 years because we haven't made the playoffs. So where do you think this money is really coming from? Building a new stadium is expensive.
It's a nice park.
It's a really nice park, but it doesn't pull enough people for us to just have a bank just sitting. I mean, yes, we are named after a bank. True story, but we are not a bank.
I don't even care about the financials. I care about it in the way that it's the right way to build a team. And you go, within baseball, you go across to other sports like the NFL and teams, and, you win free agency doesn't mean you win much else. Yeah. And you can pay the guy, and you can sign a big name, and, you end up with Josh Hamilton last year. Right. And where are you really sitting? I just think that it's nice to build within. And when you talk about the Pirates, we mentioned last week that they have the best farm system in baseball, period. You don't need to go out and get these guys and overpay a mediocre stopgap player when you've got the guy internally.
Free agency to me springs like urgency. There's nothing urgent about the Pirates.
There is urgency. The Pirates have urgency.
There's no urgency. We have made the playoffs.
Once.
The drought is over.
Once.
The drought is over.
20 more years, you're satisfied?
No.
You don't need to do it again?
We'll just have to do it better this time.
This is the problem, and you would disagree. You think this is the solution. This is the problem with the Pirates, is you've got Andrew McCutchen, and, I'm going to use the Brewers as my reference. They've got Ryan Braun, and the Brewers know, we got to try to compete. We got to put the best team we can together. Now is not the time to sit on it. Yeah, now is the time to strike.
So the Brewers got CC Sabathia, and he did.
So we got CC Sabathia. We got Zach Greinke. Yeah. And we made the playoffs, and we made a splash. Yeah. We're putting together the best team we can.
That's one way to do it.
Around our homegrown talent. And you just go for it as far as you can.
But the truth is, the Pirates farm system and players now are better than what the Brewers had 5 or 6 years ago.
You've got better prospects. We had better major league talent. That's what
baseball is.
We had better major league talent at the time. And you're sitting on these guys who are doing just fine in AA and AAA. I want a guy who has experience in the majors, who I know is not going to flame out like so many do. You're talking about 4A players and guys you don't really know what you have. And you're waiting a year, you're waiting 2 years, and McCutchen's getting older or hurt. He might pull a Matt Kemp, man. You don't know he's not going to Matt Kemp it up. And you need to go for it this year, and they're not.
We're not going to go for it this year.
It's a problem.
We still might make the playoffs. Would that make you mad, Joe?
No, I want you to make the playoffs.
Would that make you mad? No, I don't think the Brewers went for it and didn't make the playoffs in 2011 and 2009, and yet the Pirates haven't gone for it, and they would make the playoffs.
Pirates have gone for it. They went out and they signed a few guys. What their problem about is this offseason, you build off your success.
Made it and didn't go for it.
This year, let me tell you what the Pirates are going to do. They're going to maybe make the playoffs and probably be another first-round exit, man. I want to go deep.
Well, they're just another year experience in the playoffs would make us even more dangerous in the future.
Unless they make some mid-season moves.
Which they always do, by the way.
They make a real...
They have made a trade in the middle of the season 6 years in a row.
When I trade, my backup, bullpen catcher... for a relief pitcher. That's not whatever. I'm going to move on. We'll see how they do. I think they should make more moves, but we're going to move on to the Cubs.
Number 3.
And you want to talk about signing a guy. This is a polarizing guy. Emilio Bonifacio is the newest Cub, and he is a guy who he's having a hard time, man. He's such an interesting player.
He can't get a team.
He can't find home, and he needs. He's got so much base running ability and speed. Defensively, he can play any position, and that's basically not easy.
Any position.
That's not easy.
He's got so much talent valuable, there. And the Royals.
He's almost never been a regular starter.
Released him probably because his batting average is pretty low.
His batting average isn't great,
and you got to get on base.
Regular at
you
bats.
Can't run the bases unless you get on base.
But he's such a player where, can you afford to give a bench spot, which is what you're doing, to this guy who situationally can be very effective.
Now, this is a great signing by the Cubs because even if worst case scenario, you have the best pinch runner in Major League Baseball.
That's true.
Like worst case scenario, I don't know how much they paid him, but it couldn't have been much for a guy who just got released and signed this fast by the Cubs.
It opens up other spots on your bench because this guy can relieve anybody almost,
any position. And besides catcher and probably first base, this guy can probably play it.
He can play it, and you're talking about a team where. You look at other teams, most teams you don't... you try to have a utility guy, but Bonifacio defensively is the utility guy. He plays everywhere.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about having, well, I need to have a guy who can play third base.
Yeah.
And, who cares about anything else? He just needs defensively to kind of hold it down. Bonifacio can do that.
He's a great pickup for a team that's honestly just very poor.
He's a nice pickup. And he could, right situation, make an impact for anybody. I don't know if this is... I'm just...
Hey, who knows? Maybe he'll do well enough for the Chubs can... The Chumps.
I think the chumps. The chumps.
The Cubs can maybe unload him halfway through the season and get some prospects for him.
Get something for him. That would be perfect.
Because that's honestly the Pirates' philosophy. That's what they went with. They'd sign guys like this, guys off the waiver wire.
You sign a Bonifacio and you trade him. And you see what you get.
They signed like
Brewers did it with K-Rod last year. Traded him.
It was a great move. You get this guy. You pay him
Delmonico, I think, from the Orioles.
So the Pirates traded Octavio Dotel after half season and to the Dodgers, and they got James McDonald,
nice,
and Andrew Lambeau, who could be our starting first baseman this year. And he was making $2 million in 4 years ago, and we traded him to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers classically overpaid for him.
Yeah,
and that's just something that the Cubs should look into, and this is perfect for them.
This is the right move for the Cubs.
It really is.
And
way to go, Cubs! All right,
let's move on to the Reds. Big news. You talk about. We ranked the Reds pretty highly. I give them a lot of credit. I will say that it's close. Take that with a grain of salt when we say, I say Reds number 2 by less than a hair, man. It's close.
Yeah.
And you've got Matt Latos, arguably their ace. Somebody might say someone different. As far as I know, Latos, he's a front-end pitcher. Knee surgery. He had those elbow issues last year. I'm starting to get nervous about injury with this guy, and he's going to miss opening day. They don't really want to put a timetable on it.
I would say Latos is probably 30 years old, maybe younger.
I can fact check that.
Maybe younger, but not by much. And after his elbow problems, and now it's a minor knee surgery.
He's 26.
He's 26?
He's as old as me.
I'm not 26.
Matt Latos is a week younger than me.
Wow, that's crazy.
Put that in that.
I'm surprised because he throws like a 30-year-old. Knee surgery. It's minor. He might miss his start. I'm not really worried about that. But in general, as a whole, it's just another mark.
It's just what you don't want to hear. On
really,
spring training, and he
really
slips and he tears his meniscus or whatever he does.
This is the last time of the year that you really want to hear that stuff because it's deflating, and it's
100% deflating.
We're all just like, yes, baseball's coming, yes, baseball, and then
even the Cubs are a little excited. And you've got that as your first day news is Matt Latos knee surgery.
Yeah, that's a bummer. It really deflates you. You really want to have high hopes.
Yeah, you're talking about a team that doesn't have the number one.
All 30
lineup.
All 30 teams in baseball have that first blip. This is the Reds. They got theirs first, which sucks.
Yeah.
Other than him, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but Taijuan Walker, who's pitching for the Mariners, also experienced shoulder pain.
Also hurt.
So Mariners
are caught by the injury bug. I hear.
Mariners 2. Second team to catch a problem. So
yeah.
so it's already happening.
It's happening.
Keep an eye on your pitchers, everybody, because this is going to happen fast.
It's not what you want to hear, but they can come back from it. Something minor. You hope for them that he comes back. You hope for me that he's not quite the same this year.
They won't rush him.
Back just enough to.
They won't rush him. If he has to miss 4 starts, the Reds are going to go whatever.
Not a big deal. Start of the season, you can afford that sort of thing.
May sounds great. Come back in May, whatever. Yeah, no big deal. But seriously,
fill somebody in for him. I don't know who they've got.
Really, the last thing you want to hear.
And you talk about filling in a position. You move on to Milwaukee, and they're trying to fill that bullpen.
Yeah.
And
their lineup.
Not many people know many names in that bullpen, and it's something that people dig on the Brewers for, but I think incorrectly. Now our bullpen was not completely awful terrible. It wasn't great last year.
It was terrible.
And it's very much rebuilt now.
It's almost completely different. Now besides Jim Henderson, it is almost completely... Oh, and K-Rod.
Well, K-Rod was a mid-season trade. The bullpen, there's some guys in there. Last year we had, Donovan Hand. He just got kicked off the 40-man roster when we signed K-Rod.
Yeah.
Now, he's another guy who he doesn't excite you too much, but he's not that bad, and he can't even make the rotation. We've got guys.
Donovan Hand's pretty bad.
Our bullpen is, it's starting to look pretty well set. We made some moves, like when we traded Aoki, I imagine that Will Smith is going to be in there, and
Well,
he's...
I don't know if they're going to put
I've
Will
heard
Smith in
good
the bullpen.
things.
I don't know that he's going to be a bullpen pitcher because if the Brewers really want to groom him to be a starter,
Put him in AAA?
if you want
I don't know their
you want him to
plans for
start
him.
games and he can't start in the majors, then you put him in AAA. That it depends what the Brewers really want to do with him. If the Brewers think he's going to be a long reliever
No,
for the rest of
Will
his
Smith
career,
is going to be in the bullpen.
you think
For
so?
sure.
All right, I believe you.
Now, we've got 5 guys set for the bullpen right now. You've got K-Rod, who is only 31. His numbers for the Brewers are like 3.35 ERA. He's very nice to have, and all that save experience. He's not completely lights out blowing your mind. He's like, I mean,
How many more years can K-Rod do it?
who knows? I mean, who can really say? 5? 1?
I'm asking.
I think that he...
Do you think
I think
he
he's
can
gonna
do
be
it
around.
for
5 years.
2 more years?
5 years.
5 years.
On a very high level, not necessarily, but I think he can be an inning eater for at least 5 more years. And, behind him, you've got, Jim Henderson closing. Big Jim, set to hopefully a big year. Everybody's hoping. We're all rooting for him.
Yeah.
You got to wait and see. Brandon Kinsler's setting up for him, and he, last season, kind of came out of nowhere. Not traditionally.
Honestly, nobody even
out of
knew he
this
was going to
world.
be on the team at all.
He wasn't even necessarily going to be on the Major League club, and he landed a spot as a setup man, and you hope that he can hold that down.
Yeah.
You've got Gorzolani, who...
Don Gorzolani, who takes his luggage everywhere he goes because he knows it could just happen anytime, basically. He just carries it all around. On the field, he's like on the field with his luggage, just walking around like, hey, did I get traded yet? Did I get cut yet?
Well, he's in Milwaukee right
Sweet.
now, and he's
Let me
not
pitch.
awful. He's a lefty for us.
He's terrible.
Will Smith is going to be in that bullpen as another lefty to join him.
If Will Smith is going to be in the bullpen, how is there room for Tom Gorzolani? Honestly, he was so bad.
Oh.
He was so bad, and so many good right-handed hitters in the division. It's just not.
You've got other guys. Someone I'd love to see make the Major League club is Alfredo Figueroa. Now, besides having the most fun name of any Major League player I'm aware of, besides maybe Coco Crisp, he did not do bad. You're shaking your head. No, Alfredo Figueroa, I'm excited.
Too many high fastballs.
Man, I'm excited for him.
Against a
I don't want to talk about his high fastballs right now.
I'm
That's not
telling
the point
you,
of what I'm
this is what we're
about.
talking about right now. We're talking about his high
But Alfredo
fastballs.
Figueroa, I like him. Figueroa, other teams try to harass him with. I mean, I'm on Alfredo's side. The most interesting thing you're talking about is Thornburg. Because he is on the cusp of cracking that starting rotation. I mean, you've got
I'm under the impression that he's going to
Estrada,
be on the starting
and
rotation.
Thornburg.
That's what I think.
I don't think he's going to start the season in the starting rotation, and the question for the Brewers is, do you put him in the bullpen, or do you put him in AAA like you're talking about Will Smith?
You would definitely
He's
put
the real guy
Thornburg
for that.
is definitely a starting pitcher. There's no relief aspects to his game. He is a starting pitcher. He goes the distance. That's his strong suit. He can go farther than most pitchers.
He's the most question marks around him because I think Estrada kind of has that spot locked up. He might supplant him, but I doubt it. And then do you put him in the bullpen or do you give him more experience?
Well,
in
here's the thing,
AAA?
Estrada definitely can pitch out of the bullpen. Thornburg, you don't know. I would flip flop those guys. You have too many long relievers here. You need 1 inning guys. You need more 1 inning guys. Figueroa, he started games last year. You have no
We
1 inning
needed
guys.
so much help at
You
starting
have
pitcher
3
last year.
guys on your squad that can go out there and lock an inning down.
I don't
on a
count
good day.
starting experience as a bad thing for a bullpen pitcher.
No, but you want a guy who gets hyped up. That's why closers are closers, you know? You got to treat every inning like it's the 9th. And when you're a starting pitcher, it's not like that. You got to worry about what you're doing the rest of the time you're out there. I feel like between Henderson, Francisco Rodriguez, and Kinsler, those are your only 1 inning guys you have. Period. Gorzolani tried the 1 inning thing last year. Didn't work. Figueroa, better starter than he is a reliever.
I feel like nobody's a better starter than a reliever. Their numbers always get better when they switch from starter to reliever, don't they?
No, but
Figueroa, in my opinion, is...
the thing is Figueroa it's for pitching from the stretch as compared to pitching
He might be
from
your
the
2-inning
windup.
guy. I mean, he's a guy who could do that.
But then that's what I feel like Will Smith would be. Well, we're spending too much time on the Brewers bullpen. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, we'll
Let's
switch
get
it up.
down
I
to
mean,
the
their
real
bullpen,
questions.
we'll see.
Let's get down to the real question.
We talked about best hitter, and we got a little controversy with, we talked about Joey Votto, Andrew McCutchen, and Ryan Braun as probable candidates for that. And, Ryan Braun is the villain of the Major League Baseball, so nobody want to hear it. We picked him. And there's much controversy. I mean, John, who's not here, went Votto.
Yeah. Not bad pick, obviously.
But we're going to talk about who is the best third baseman in the NL Central.
Third base. Don't always think about third base, do you?
Third base it's an interesting one to talk about because there aren't a lot of third basemen because it's not an easy position to play. Mm-hmm. And there aren't a lot of top guys at the position. And in the NL Central, I mean, most experience, I think you're talking about Aramis Ramirez with Milwaukee.
Definitely the most time at third base.
And
definitely,
if he stays healthy, I expect just to repeat 25 home runs, hitting 300.
Yeah, 40 doubles.
You just expect that out of him at this point. And that's pretty hard to beat. Other guys you have, Todd Frazier in Cincinnati.
He's got a glove. Sometimes he can hit for power. I like Frazier as a player.
Out. He's good.
He's not a standout player though, for sure. He's just not. He hits 6 in the lineup. He's not gonna. He
hit 234 last year.
That's pretty low average. That is pretty low. Considering his power numbers are not like say. 20s,
he doesn't
30s.
have crazy power numbers. Talking about power numbers moves you to Pedro Alvarez, who I know we're going to disagree because you think he is turned a corner. He's the guy. He's pretty good. That's your thought, right?
Well, he's 24.
27.
27? Get out of here.
Yeah. He was 20 when he was 24 was when he was disappointing everybody. He's 27. He figured it out a little bit.
Anyways, guy hits a lot of home runs. It's very valuable. I'm not saying he's the best in the National League Central, but would it really surprise you if he had 40 home runs? Would that be like, oh my God, I never saw that coming?
That wouldn't surprise me. Let me say the ridiculous thing I said last week about him. I said any chump can hit a lot of home runs. That was the dumbest. That's
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I missed half of that sentence. One season. You can get lucky, close your eyes, swing that bat, and you can hit.
He had 30 home runs
for
the
1
year before
year.
That.
I mean, when you look at
2 years in a row, Pedro Alvarez hit 30
He's got 2 years in a row. He hit 30 and then 36.
That's a if you hit
the guy's got a
30
bit of power.
this year, then he's a perennial 30 home
now,
run guy.
when you talk about, I'm gonna go his batting average here through the years.
Oh, it's terrible.
2010, he debuted with his best batting average of his entire career of 256.
Really? He hit 256?
2011, he took a step back and went 191.
Yeah, terrible.
2012, he went 244. And then last year, he went 233. You're misremembering because he hit clutch spots. Does that make him a clutch player? I don't know. He hit some bombs.
Here's something you don't know about him.
But he's
not
terrible,
clutch.
man.
He's not clutch.
You want to talk he's getting better?
Look at his RBI totals compared to his home runs. It's not high because he hits a lot of solo home runs.
For the first year ever, he had 100 RBIs last year. He hit clutch last year.
Because he had a lot of home runs. And we had a better team who was
You had a really good team with on-base guys. You got
but the way I see it is Pedro needs to hit more home runs with guys on base. He doesn't hit enough clutch home runs. If you look at it, I've seen pretty much every Pirates game after June, and he hits a lot of early inning home runs.
I would like to see Pedro Alvarez, all I ask out of him, hit higher than 250 for the first time since your rookie year. Just do that.
I mean, he doesn't have to.
Because you're bad.
He doesn't have to. What I would like Pedro to actually do is to become...
Does he walk? No, he doesn't walk.
He absolutely does not walk. He's a strikeout. He strikes out crazy.
186, highest of his career.
That is so much. It is. It's a lot, but you got to take the home runs with the strikeouts. That's just a fact. The thing about Pedro that people don't know is he's defense. He's so streaky on defense. You hear about streaky hitters, but that's Pedro's thing. On defense, he'll go months and months without an error, and then he'll have 2 in a game. And it's like... And then
he is the complete who knows what he's going to give you player in my mind.
He is a little bit of a wild card.
And that makes him hard to place when you're talking about who's the best. Now, when we are looking at this, I've got Valbuena for the Cubs. I better look up his numbers before I rank him. We were tabbing him last, but after looking
I don't need the numbers to tell you that Valbuena is...
He doesn't have a lot of Major League experience. So you don't have a lot to work with. He's been playing for,
I think, 2 years, unless it was last year was his rookie year. But Valbuena's not really much I can say about him other than he seems okay. I don't know. I mean, he hits all right. His average is not high, for sure. His defense, I think, is pretty good. But that's as much as I can say about Luis Valbuena. Nice name, though. Very good name. I like that.
That's a nice baseball name. I
think that the third baseman that we really all need to talk about is Matt Carpenter. Moving over to third base. That's the news. That's what I heard. Let's see if it works out.
Third baseman Carpenter.
I like Matt Carpenter because he hits left-handed. He's gonna hit.
He's so much more than a left-handed bat, though.
Oh no, he's a slap hitter, man. He can do it all. But the thing is he really only had one elite season.
Just for the record, Valbuena is dead last.
Dead last.
Then probably Frazier. Then probably Alvarez, and then you're talking about Ramirez.
Alvarez and Ramirez
Carpenter.
could definitely flip-flop.
I doubt it.
But Ramirez could. I mean, he's injury prone.
If he gets hurt, then he's going to be third, and Alvarez will be second.
I'm factoring injuries in everything.
I'm not, because he's not hurt. So I'm going to say Alvarez is third. And
I'm
Ramirez is second.
saying over the course of the season. That's the question. Over the course of the season.
Despite never being a regular third baseman, I put him first.
I would put him first because, I mean, God, well, look at that season last year. Oh, my God. That's like, geez. I mean, it was nuts.
I just think he is, and I think I said this last time, I couldn't wish a guy was a Brewer more than about Matt Carpenter. Because
he really has it all. We're all man crushing on Matt Carpenter.
I mean, he plays first, second, or third. He's 28. He's still a young guy.
He's not going to see any more time at first base the rest of his career unless
they've got that pretty locked down. I mean, he hit .318 last year.
That's nuts.
He got 11 home runs, which is double digits. He didn't really steal bases.
Great defense.
He walks about as much as he strikes out. I mean, he's 72
a great player.
walks and 98
player. And for the
strikeouts.
longest time, he actually was in the running for the batting title. He just fell off a little bit at the end. But
I mean, he's going to hit 300 for you. I look at him and I see Ryan Braun without the power a little bit. I mean, Ryan Braun. I could pick 100 players. I didn't have to pick Ryan Braun. He's going to hit 300. He's going to play pretty good defense, probably better defense than Ryan Braun. He's going to be smart at the plate. He's going to be disciplined.
He's very disciplined. But then again, I have to say, he only had one season that I know of that he was a complete player just the way he was last year. But it was so good that we will put him one. I would say he's one. Would you say so, John?
I think he should be one. Given the history of the stinging Cardinals, where everything works out all the time, I'm going to go ahead and put him probably one.
Geez, those darn Cardinals.
And I think that, where you say Alvarez and Ramirez could flip-flop, I say that Carpenter and Ramirez could easily flip-flop.
No.
Because Ramirez is going to hit more home runs. He's going to hit just as good of an average. He's pretty good at defense. He can draw walks.
His defense is
suspect. He is an all-around good player. He's getting older.
Ramirez is an all-around, for sure.
You keep talking about Ramirez like he's hurt still. Last year he was hurt. That hurt his defense.
Yeah.
He's not hurt. Brett. He's not hurt.
I'm telling you right now.
Ramirez isn't hurt.
Ramirez gets hurt often enough for me to worry about it.
The only thing you worried about is he gets hurt a little bit and he's getting older. And you also, but I mean, they used to try to talk about him, those poor Cubs. He was a Cub. He was the best player on the Cubs for a couple of years, I think. And
he'd
start out cold. He was the top guy.
Kerry Wood was their best player when they played together.
Oh, okay. He started out the season in April cold every year because he was outdoors, because it was the temperature was cold, and he's not a good cold weather guy. So you thought he's going to get better going to Milwaukee with that dome and warm him up a little bit, and they'd say he's not any good until the Cubs are already out of it. Well, is it Aramis' fault? The Cubs are out of it by late May. I think that he's a good player
by September.
And being in Milwaukee, he again I think started a little bit slow the couple of years he was here, but I don't know. I think he puts together a complete season. He does a great job. Carpenter's probably still the best. I'm looking for your opinions on this because third baseman, I mean, it's volatile and
it's not our strong position, that's for sure. But it's definitely there's some flip flopping that can happen here. Frazier could surprise me. Alvarez could surprise me. Ramirez, Carpenter, any of these guys really could flip around except for Valbuena.
I don't know enough about Valbuena to say he's not going to do it, but he's probably not going to do it. And, I mean...
If Valbuena was going to surprise me, it would be fourth best.
If anything's going to surprise... I think the Cubs, I don't know who they've got in their system. Somebody might supplant Valbuena and be
Maybe it's
better than
Bonifacio.
him. Maybe it's Bonifacio. I don't know.
Maybe they keep Darwin Barney at second base.
I think we wrap this one up, though. I mean, I'd love to hear feedback about third baseman for everybody who listened this far. And, we'll hope to hear from you next week. Go baseball.
Yes, baseball.